back.
We're back. Woo!
It's episode 3
of season 3.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Gloria.
And we're Chemist Confessions. This podcast is just a human conversation on all the science we talk about daily in skincare.
Over a couple cans of beer.
Yep.
So what are we drinking today?
Today we are drinking whatever's left over in the fridge. So just a simple Sapporo for me.
I have, courtesy of Victoria, a Boatbeard's Salt Crew Blonde Ale. Salty. I'm not salty at all.
She ain't salty.
Victoria's not trying to send me a message at all, but Salty Crew, cheers.
Cheers. All right.
All right, to get started, let's dive right into brand updates. Woo!
We have some product announcements, finally.
Mr. Reliable is back, baby!
Yes.
It was such a painful couple of months.
I'm like, play the Jason Derulo song. Mr. Reliable's back. Sorry. All right, finally.
Yeah, it's been a long time making. Thank you all for your patience. It's both heartwarming and really terrifying how many messages we get every day asking, hey, it ranges from the super sweet, like, hey girls, we know like supply chain's really challenging. When might Mr. Reliable come back to that? Hey, I'm running out. Where's my moisturizer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we've even had people be like, what's the point of having the product listing if it's never coming back in stock? And we're like, we're trying so hard. So, but finally it's back. You might be wondering, is it 2.0? It is not. We are putting the finishing touches. We've said this before, but we are putting the finishing touches on the 2.0 and hope to launch that around summertime. But as of right now, replenishment stock of our original, which we are still very proud of and in love with. And yeah, it's there, guys. It's there, finally. But bon voyage.
Yay! As of recording, it is March 1st. I really hope by the time the episode comes out, we're going to be like, bon voyage. Here is a clear date on when it's coming back. The reality is, it's if you think about it, there's so many aspects to putting a product together, the raw materials, the packaging, the boxes. So there's always, like right now, it's just like there's a few screws loose. Yeah. The bomb should be coming back very, very soon. I
personally think all our formulas are very expensive, but Bon Voyage takes the cake on price, and because of that, it is extra challenging with supply chain. But we are working on it. We're working on it, and we will definitely have an announcement for you when this comes out.
Yes. All right, that's it for the brand update. We're gonna, as usual, finish off with some real reviews we've gotten. Yeah.
So this time around, we definitely want to share the fact that we don't pay for our reviews. So if you see the trickle of reviews, that's all organic, and we thank everyone for doing that, because that's definitely the customer evidence that we need. But I would love to share how interesting unpaid reviews can be. So we'll start off with the first 1-star review we've received. Gloria would like to read the first 1-star we received.
This review goes, Aquafix before Mr. Reliable. It works beautifully to introduce the moisturizer. Mr. Reliable. Recently, Mr. Reliable was out of stock, and I used it successfully with other products I am trying to use up. 1 star.
1 star.
Is the star the 1 star for our supply chain
like
problem?
1 big star?
One gold star. I will say I remember this review getting in. We get email notifications when these come in. I saw the 1 star. I'm like, oh no, someone had an allergic reaction or something. I didn't read it. And this morning, I opened it up. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. So that's our first 1 star, which I guess the silver lining is it could be a way worse 1-star review. So thanks. Here's a 5-star review.
Oh boy.
This is about our chemist recommended. we just wanted to share about that whole process. This time around, we focused on actives. So the title is Highly Recommend. She writes, I was so excited when the chemist recommended Open Again. The survey was super easy and it gave me the opportunity to be extra thorough when explaining my routine and skin goals. The chemist's response was informative and I could tell they took the time to read through what I had written.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we did. We read every single one of your responses.
This is why this is not a SKU that's open all the time.
Or else that would just be our full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's see. They recommended and provided a full-size Aquafix and included a sample of the Specialist Booster. I also told them I had been looking for a good vitamin C serum, and they gave me a recommendation outside their line, Timeless CE Ferulic, which we do recommend a lot. For anyone wondering, I've been using all 3 products for about a week now, and I'm enjoying all of them. I'm really impressed with Aquafix. It's a serum-like consistency and really soaks into my skin. My skin is combination, but gets pretty dry during the winter, so I do a lot of layering. Aquafix helps hold in the moisture.
Yay! Oh, I'm so happy about this because honestly, this is definitely
captures everything
about the
chemist's recommended experience.
Yeah. And I think we started this just trying to as an experiment to see if we can help out because a lot of people DM us for skincare advice anyway, so we figured maybe we can come up with a way for this to be more structured. And we have a lot of discussions about it should be a monthly thing or it should be and then it became quarterly and then it's like should it be an intro kind of thing. But the reality is I think what's most important to us is that experience, that to make sure that the two of us have enough time to read everything you guys want to tell us about your skincare routine, what products you're currently using, and make a very meaningful suggestion within our line and out.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you guys so much. Please continue to keep the reviews coming. We read every single one of them and we don't pay for them.
Oh, and you might wonder when Chemist Recommended is going to come back. Also in due time.
Spring. We've been sticking to, I shouldn't say sticking. We said quarterly and we started in January, so April.
when everything is back in stock.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all planned.
All right, so it's time to get into the news.
All right, in the news. I would say everyone is in this very tentative mode about 2022. I will say...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were a little late on the Bakugyo episode because there was just a lot going on. So we had a little extra time putting this episode together. And during this time, I've been keeping an eye out on the skincare news, see if there's any interesting... And it was kind of slow.
You're right. It's so slow that this title really, I think, captures how slow skincare news has been.
So we decided to talk about how PCA Skin is to send experiment to the International Space Station.
Yeah, so it is as it sounds. Apparently, their experiment, sponsored by the ISS National Lab, the International Space Station, will explore the effects of microgravity on skin-related genes as the biomarkers used to evaluate overall skin health and guide future product innovations in technology.
Yeah, so for all you astronauts out there, be sure to tune in.
Wow, that all sounds really cool. You know, you've got space and skincare and science and you're bashed them all together. I would say this is a really great campaign to put PCA Skin's name out there. Yeah. And that's about it.
And you know what? I think it's so smart for the ISS to fundraise this way, too.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking. I was like, they're genius. Like, right? What better way to make sure you continue that funding? Good job, guys. I'm down for this.
You know, my first thought reading this was, what does it really mean down the line? How does this translate to... Earth skincare. And then I was like, wait, hold up. Who cares? It's provocative, so let's do it.
Exactly. And it turns out they've been doing multiple projects with beauty brands. So they've actually done one previously with Estee Lauder to do like a sustainable R&D project. And let me read you the title. The title of the project is that They write, this is the first instance of a beauty brand partnering on R&D with the ISS National Lab to advance sustainability research for plastic alternatives.
In space?
And so that's the thing. They say the ISS National Lab Sustainability Challenge Beyond Plastics aims to use the unique ISS environment to develop, test, or mature products and processes toward plastic alternatives.
What?
I have no idea why plastic should be tested in a space environment and how that would translate to Earth.
But it's provocative.
But it makes headlines. So the ISS, good on you to secure that funding. Good job, guys.
Cool.
All right. Again, slow news week. Definitely. All right, Gloria, what else we got?
Speaking of sustainability, I feel like this is a true thing with this year, because I feel like in the past 4 or 5 episodes, every news segment we talk a little bit about sustainability. In Earth sustainability news, we hear that Unilever is crowdsourcing for transparent palm oil supply chain. So the article says Unilever is currently working with its partner Premise to create a community of local people in Indonesia, one of the biggest world suppliers of palm oil, who will help track palm from the point of origin to processing to ensure sustainable, deforestation-free supply chain. They said that the Unilever spokesperson says the technology is a powerful enabler of supply chain traceability and transparency, and crowdsourcing and partnerships are critical to building capabilities within Unilever, and the world urgently needs to tackle deforestation. So what that means, for what I can gather from this article, is there's AI, and then there's also what they call contributors. And they said contributors are taught how to collect insights in a way that respects people and property laws, and it is in line with Indonesia's regulations. The pilot project will recruit mill workers and suppliers to provide photos and information on this platform.
Basically, Unilever is funding the Indonesian palm oil police.
Yeah, secret police. Always watching. I was reading, I was like, oh, what does it mean? And it was like, after a lot of buzzwords, like crowdsourcing, AI, I'm like, a reporting system? I see. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, palm oil is a huge sustainability topic, because it spans way beyond just beauty. It's in all the food that you eat. It's just such it's such a important commodity, and there isn't a super useful, a super viable replacement at the moment. Yeah. And at the heart of it is deforestation.
Yes, because of just the way the plant is utilized, and the amount of land that palm requires. So all in all, despite the jokes, it is a great initiative, especially in Indonesia, where most of the deforestation concerns is happening, and just building that awareness. So honestly, good news.
Yeah, it's good news, even though I think the executive, I'm like,
palm oil police.
Palm oil police.
The POP.
It's got a pop to the name. Okay, anyway, we're moving on.
Oh, God. I apologize. All right. Next bit of news.
Yeah. A blip of business news is in 2022, Target is planning on expanding its Ulta collaboration to 250 more locations. I think the total reach will be about 800 Targets will now have the Ulta section in beauty.
I think it's a great idea. Just more convenience, broadening, the skincare offering for just mass market. So yeah, great.
I think there's a lot of products. Yeah,
for sure.
Cool.
Great. Next,
just a little bit more on trends.
More trends.
I really feel like every week I get a new article about a different trend. So what is the trend of 2022? Apparently no one knows. But I do think this is really interesting, because this year there is, this article talks about how there's a huge increase in monthly searches for lip sunscreen, which awesome. I don't
Yes.
think people are very aware of how fragile your lip skin is.
You have no melanin.
Nada.
Must protect.
Nada. And there's also an increase in searching for brows and brow procedure tech and stuff. So I'm like, oh, this year is the year of lip and brow.
It's back.
It's back, yeah.
Well, masks are starting to be worn less. So it makes a lot of sense. It's just neglected aspects.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome.
I will say I used to be really guilty of buying a lipstick to brighten my day, and then I wear it 3 times and forget about it.
I was also going to say, during COVID, the brow maintenance has been at an all-time low for me. So I feel it. I think, because it's only Gloria that has to look at this for most days. So.
I will say my apartment has really flattering lighting, but California sounds so strong. There are days that I like roll out, like at a stoplight or something, like check in the mirror and the light will hit just right. And I'm like, go! I have now plugged in 3 weeks.
I look like cactus. Yep. Awesome.
So I for one am excited. Yeah.
I agree with that. They also talk about hair, and this is something that we totally see coming out and will be a big focus this year. We see hair becoming skinified. So we'll definitely be looking into that throughout this year. But, I mean, we're kind of excited. It's definitely a category that's in some ways forgotten and then also in some ways cheated on, because products will get positioned for hair growth and general hair health, but it will just be like your typical volume shampoo. So
yeah,
it'll be nice to see what comes out.
Yes, and
awesome.
I am looking forward to cutting my hair again. It's been like 5 months.
All right, last but not least, we have...
Yeah, so I saw this article. The methodology seems a little wonky, but basically they kind of looked at a bunch of reviews of expensive and cheap products. The data is I don't know how legitimate it is. It's not super clear to me which products they picked and choose, but basically they kind of compare the average rating of face wash, vitamin C serum, oddly specific, moisturizer, sunscreen, and exfoliant. And
I really like this.
Yeah, and see on how do cheap products perform in terms of review as well as expensive products.
That's awesome.
So what's interesting is within vitamin C and exfoliants, the more expensive or the most expensive products they chose tend to be much better reviewed than their cheap counterparts. Even though I think on social media you see a lot of people who are always chasing dupes, like the cheaper alternatives. But I do think that even though I don't know exactly which products I look at, it does kind of shine a light on the chemists. Like, the more expensive products tend to have a little bit more thought and nuance, not for all products, but tends to have more thought and nuance to texture, fragrance, the whole experience, packaging. So glad to see it's appreciated.
Also, when you think about exfoliants and vitamin C, I especially think of Amazon, what you can buy, and I just feel like
wild.
Yeah, like you think you're buying a dupe of CE ferulic, but they use a vitamin C derivative or an exfoliant. It's like way too low of a pH, way too high of a concentration. So I feel like that's really cool. I really like and this is like kind of nuanced, but sunscreen, they have like most expensive, least expensive, and like most expensive is slightly less appreciated than least expensive, and could not agree more. Like there's no reason to pay a premium sunscreen.
That was actually one of the first thing I noticed with this article is I think that, in fact, sunscreen is the only category where the least expensive products perform slightly better than the most expensive one.
Yeah.
And we always say that a good sunscreen is one that you will use and you will use liberally.
Yeah.
And when you're squeezing out like a drop and you're like, oh my God, that's $10, you're probably not going to use enough. So yeah.
I also want to say, because it looks like this, I hope for brands, they don't look at this and be like, we should charge the most expensive price tag, because clearly the ratings are all favorable. I would love to know mid-tier, mid-price products, like how, people perceive those. Because, yeah, we know that not all Lux brands are good. It's the truth. I'm sorry.
Who are we talking about? Oh!
Forgive us. It's been a day. All right. Next.
Is that the news?
And that's the news.
Yeah. Before we dive into the meat, there is a special little mini segment. I think on the show we've talked about custom skincare and those like testing kits a few times, and just kind of want to share my recent experience with them.
Yeah.
So
Gloria's been dabbling.
I've been dabbling. A couple years ago, my sister-in-law actually bought everyone a 23andMe kit, so I've done that. Which, by the way, I waited for a month. And you know how everyone, those like My Ancestry or whatever, the ads is always like, oh, I didn't know I had a Polish great-grandma, things like that. And I was like, ooh, anxiously awaiting my results. And I got it back a month later, and it's like, you're Chinese!
Thanks, 23andMe. Mind blowing.
Yeah, I was like, well, I knew that. And it was something like 99.5% Chinese.
Thanks.
Interesting. Great. My ancestors decided to stay in their village.
Okay, but you had an update.
Yes, I had an update. And this is hilarious because this came literally, Victoria and I took a trip one weekend. And I got really car sick during the weekend. And we were talking about it. I've always been I get motion sickness pretty easily. And so 23andMe, literally 2 days after, sent me an email that said, oh, you have updates. So that's what they constantly do, is that when they have more and more data, they can predict more things and they'll send you updates. And I clicked on it and they're like, you are genetically predisposed to motion sickness.
Thanks, 23andMe. Yeah, at it again.
I'm like, well, I knew that.
I did like the other two. So Gloria showed me the two other updates. One was she's prone to mosquito bites.
Which I thought I am.
Yeah, and then the other one is you prefer to wake up at 8:35.
Very
That's
specific.
It's like there's no window of time you want to wake up. It's 8:35 in the morning. So
let me write a note to my boss and say, do not talk to me before 8:35 because my genetics does not allow that.
Yeah, so thanks 23andMe. You're doing good.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of fun, and our friends at Elsa Yeoman also recently sent us their microbiome testing kit. I actually think it was really interesting.
Yes.
I will post a picture of my results here, but basically it kind of ranks your skin by your it kind of rates it by the diversity of your flora, and it couples it with your self-perception quiz on like, oh, is your skin barrier more this and that, and gives a reasoning, and actually breaks down by like the strain of your microbiome too. It was a good experience, except like I feel like this is where these testing kits are kind of tough in skincare still, because I got the data and the whole thing was really fun, and then I was like,
now
what? Yeah, it kind of felt like that. It was kind of like, it was interesting to see like the 23andMe experience. It puts what you kind of already know and kind of suspect into perspective. Yeah.
I'll have to do mine. I haven't done mine yet. Maybe a more acne prone type. We'll see like a little change, but generally like the results I feel like for Gloria was you have a diverse flora.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah. And I'm like, good.
Yeah. Skin's great. Stay the course.
Keep it up. You're Chinese and you have diverse flora. It's my takeaway. Like, okay.
Oh gosh. It's just validation of what you know, right?
Yeah.
You don't need it sometimes. Yay. All right. Okay. We're moving on. We actually haven't told you guys what this episode is about.
Right. We're really good at a consistent intro.
Yep. So today's meat is actually, we're going to call it scrap meat because it's going to just be a Russian roulette of short topics that maybe don't fit a general theme, but stuff we still have feels about.
Yes.
So probably one of the first topics we already knew we wanted to talk about was the azelaic acid derivative that's starting to gain a lot of traction. The derivative is called potassium, azeloyl, diglycinate. The reason why it gains a lot of traction is because you can get a very high amount of it into a pretty nice formula. So figured we would just dive into the science and see what that's all about.
How we feel about it.
Yeah.
So I think azelaic acid is one of those things from a chemist perspective.
We hate.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Why is it still so popular? Because it honestly, it works. It has great data. You know, we've talked about it on the show a few times about how at 20% it's been tested to fight hyperpigmentation, acne. So that's a 1-2 punch problem that a lot of people deal with. So for a lot of people, it covers a lot of the bases. But as a chemist, it sucks.
Yeah. So we actually, when we started looking into the science behind it, I'll be honest, just to preface, it is sparse. There's like 2 papers that actually really talk about it in terms of what it does. And the funniest thing is, I shared this paper with Gloria. One of the studies that it's in a lab done in a lab in Indonesia, they basically looked at it and you could tell that this person had either had to listen to chemists complain about it or was a chemist themselves, because the way they analyzed this ingredient was truly from a formulation aspect, looking at stability and temperature, pH, viscosity,
solubility, all the works.
Thank you.
You have, guys, there's so many times we get a data of some ingredient that supposedly performed awesome in a petri dish, in a solution that you will never use on your face, and then they give it to chemists, be like, chop chop, next miracle's on the block, and then we watch it just sit in the beaker that
it basically sits there and was like, nope, I will not go in.
I smell like garbage and I shall not dissolve. So many.
So this paper is really great. They do look at 5% azelaic, potassium azeloyl diglycinate. They look at it for inflammation and hydration only. They did find it to be helpful, but just in that minimal capacity alone. They also tried to look at it in comparison to vitamin C, but didn't really see anything promising on the AOX end. And I should also just follow up that most of the studies they've done was in mouse model. So very early.
Usually with mouse models, it's kind of okay, that's cool, but you don't really know how it translates to humans.
You're like, okay, keep going. All right, cool. So then, again, like I said, it's sparse. The only other one I was able to find was a test size of 5. And they really wanted to look at for hydration and sebum reduction. They used 3% twice a day for 3 weeks, and did find it to be helpful. However, they talk about, they mentioned that concentrations of 5% and even 6% for use as sebum normalizing or sebum reduction and then skin lightening. But again, there's not enough data to say that this is the actual case. And then the reason why we want to share this with you is because we recently talked about how people have started creating azelaic products but using this derivative, and why we don't agree with that. It's a different molecule. It needs to still be validated. Despite being a derivative azelaic acid, you can't just take those claims and put it onto this new active.
And we see it in all these other categories. We've talked a lot about vitamin C derivatives or retinol alternatives / derivatives. And same thing, all these are independent molecules that should be assessed. And ideally, bench to the mother molecule to really figure out where it stands.
A good point is that on top of that, the concentration actually hasn't really been established. You see that they're looking at it at around the 5% range, but because brands are just like, oh, new azelaic acid, they're going to put it at 10 to 20%. But it's not substantiated to be at that concentration.
Something that drives me crazy. And I think at this point, everyone knows I have a lot of weird pet pet peeves in skincare. Like, I hate sweet almond oil for no good reason, really. Another thing I really don't like is the 3-O-ethyl ascorbic acid.
Yes.
At like 20%. That thing was tested and kind of ish validated, and I mean by like for safety standards and also skin irritation, at like 2%.
Yeah.
I think the highest I've seen it tested for irritation is like 5%. You don't need 25% of it.
Exactly. And it's very irresponsible formulation. Again, so if you are looking for azelaic acid product, our general thoughts is please definitely decode the IL. Make sure you know which azelaic acid you are getting. And then on top of that, definitely patch test, because it is not a 1-to-1 replacement. It has not been validated as a 1-to-1, so don't do it.
I will say the nice thing is, generally speaking, so there are two products that we notice right now on the market that's readily available for everyone here is the Naturium azelaic acid and also the Geek and Gorgeous azelaic acid. I think they're okay to try, especially if you're just starting to dabble into azelaic acid. You'll immediately notice that it's probably not azelaic acid because it's a clear solution.
Yes.
I remember when I first opened Geek and Gorgeous packaging and it says azelaic acid. I didn't read the ingredient list. And I was like, oh my god,
they figured it out.
They solubilized azelaic acid. Someone give them a Nobel Peace Prize. And then I read the ingredient list. I was like, okay.
Yeah, see, as chemists, we will admire if it's good. But again, different story. So I think the other thing too is, I mean, it is something to be said that, yes, having these derivatives can be a viable option, especially with all of these difficulties that we've complained about. But, you know, with a lot of azelaic acid formulas out there, I don't particularly love them because of the texture. Yeah. Being oily, I know, like for acne, for oily skin, it's helpful, but I can't stand the texture, and so that's why it's,
I think that's part of why I think it's such an annoying ingredient, like pure azelaic acid. Is like it exists to troll you. Like, oh, you have oily acneic skin. Here, why don't you just put this gunk
paste
on your face? It's gonna help. I promise.
Exactly that. So, anyways, hope that was helpful. If you have questions about azelaic acid, we did a deep dive previously. We will share that link as well. But otherwise, we are actually going to move straight on. We're going to take a break and do our claims corner.
Yay! Claims corner.
I feel like we don't have enough episodes for the amount of claims that people have been sending us, but keep them coming. They're very entertaining for us.
They're very therapeutic for us.
Yeah, so we were sent this a long time ago. This one, the verbiage might sound very familiar. I'm going to just bleep out all the name of the product active, and then you guys just think about what we're referring to here. Okay, our blank is like rehab for your skin, rich in critical antioxidants and omega-6 and 9. Blank nourishes and balances while restoring a youthful glow and remains in its purest form. And it says, blank is virtually untouched by any chemical or fragrance, natural or synthetic. This blank will quickly sink in and diminish the look of fine lines and wrinkles, appropriate for all skin, including the most sensitive. And then it talks about the product just goes into more detail. So what do you think we're talking about here?
Sweet almond oil.
Yeah, so not far off. This is actually marula oil. Yeah, so I think the reason why I want to share this is because generally oils probably have the weirdest marketing communication and probably most far-fetched communication just because of its natural origins and it's rich in blank. So that's something that we're like, wow, that's some strong language.
Yeah, I think it's really, to be fair, it's tough, right? When we formulated the better oil, we we got, oh my god, our whole lab bench area smells disgusting. We got all these different oils that have very unique fatty acid profiles, a lot of different omega balances,
rich in.
Yeah, a lot of XYZ rich in whatever claims. And we really tried to look for oils with unique compositions. By the way, they all smell really bad. One of the oils we tried that's somehow kind of making a comeback is Sacha Inchi.
Smells like broccoli.
Yeah, like toasted broccoli you left in the sun. But that is to say, after we were done finding the right oil for us, we settled on sea buckthorn, sea specifically. And then we were like, oh, let's talk about this oil. It is so hard to say anything other than
it's an awesome emollient.
Yeah, great oil.
Friendly to skin.
Yeah, it likes you or your skin, y'all.
It likes you. It likes you.
Why don't you like it back? You know. So I totally understand like the difficulties thereof. That's why like we kind of chose the route of okay, we'll buffer this formula with actual active ingredients, soothing active ingredients, but more isolated ingredients nonetheless. But anyway, I just think, yeah, oil's tough.
Oil's tough, and then also on the flip side of it, unless there is an isolated compound that, or isolated active in that oil, and they have a clinical, most of when they speak about like, you know, like the omega-6 and 9s and like brightening and all of that, like I would say like manage expectations as to like what an oil actually does. We see that really more as a true emollient. And there are some great oil-based actives that are now being incorporated into oils. But yeah, unless those are claimed, try not to fall for the like exotic ingredient aspect.
Especially one ingredient facial oils.
Yes.
It serves one job, which is to kind of like increase like softness, adds that emolliency because it's emollient, like squalene.
We're talking about you squalene.
Yeah, you know, but if a facial oil, especially the one ingredient one that's like from the mountains of blah blah blah, it breathes ethereal energy into your face. Just move on.
Yep, exactly that. So hopefully that was helpful for you as you shop and just browse all of the oils out there. And yeah, now it's time to get into part 2 of Scrap Meat.
Woo!
All right, Gloria, what's part 2?
So this is a topic near and dear to Victoria. Encapsulation.
Near and dear because I did spend a few years in academia, or like in my academic life, researching encapsulation techniques.
So first things first, what is encapsulation?
Encapsulation is basically where you want, it's exactly as it sounds. You are trying to encapsulate certain molecules, and when you can package them into smaller packages, you're not only protecting the molecule as it sits in formula or as it transports to your skin and delivers to the site, but it's also protecting your skin from the molecule. So think of things like retinol in causing irritation until it reaches the actual active site. And the other cool thing about it is that you can do things like slow release, where capsules break off in a slower progression. That also helps with irritation because you're not taxing out your skin with all these high levels. So you can do a lot of really cool things, and it helps us get around some of these like really fussy actives that we always have to deal with. Yeah,
we'll say this technology is probably used in skincare the most with... We were so close. I almost didn't tap the mic all episode.
We're going to cut that out.
In skincare, it's probably used the most with retinol, and then on some level with vitamin C. So a lot of these super unstable molecules, they're like, why don't we put a dumpling skin on it and see if it'll like do better?
Yeah, and we think it's great for that because it makes a lot of sense.
It sounds awesome. So, I mean, the natural reaction here is like, oh my god, why aren't we encapsulating everything? In fact, put that azelaic acid in a capsule and see how it does.
Yes.
But there are a lot of problems with this.
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the major things with encapsulation is just it's exponentially more expensive. And so, obviously, we don't really want to do that, nor do we want to pay for that for every active. And then the other aspect of it is that there are many types of encapsulation, and this is where our jobs as chemists and people that want to help you decode products, it gets really tough because every encapsulation should be tested because they can all perform differently. So I mean, Gloria, like we went through the gamut testing our encapsulated retinol. Mainly because we just want to make sure it actually does work.
Yep. So when we first started formulating Double Play, we knew we wanted to dabble in. We were starting to see a lot of new encapsulated retinol come up on the market, and it does make our lives a little easier in formulating it and manufacturing it. But the problem is a lot of these are just like, oh yeah, it's encapsulated. Totally cool. But you don't know if it's really going to, first of all, if it protects it that well, and then does it really deliver to the skin? Because like if it protects it too well and then never breaks open,
that happens.
Yeah, it also happens. So oh my god, we went through the works, and it's not as sexy as it sounds. Does it sound sexy? It's just a lot of reading. Right? Yeah. It's a lot of like, did they test it from this angle? Did they bench it against that? Did they do that? It's just, oh man, it was so much work.
And we basically had to ensure that, the raw material when received in its encapsulated form does hold up over its shelf life.
Yeah.
And then also in formulation, because those environments change. And so as boring as all this sounds, at the end of the day, this is why it's so difficult to know there's no way we're going to know which encapsulation techniques are better than others because so many factors are involved, and then it gets really expensive. So yeah, but all in all, this is here to stay. We're going to see more of this for all of the very fussy actives. We don't hate it. We actually do like it. It's just a matter of figuring out where it's actually useful for.
Yeah, and we'll say that it's definitely going to help the industry in the long term. It's going to help get you better actives and better results. But right now, currently, you think you can get away with this episode without us talking about the percentage train. But this is where we also see a lot of issues with transparency. The percentage train, if you haven't heard our rant, is off. It's just crazy right now.
It's a clown train.
It is a clown train, and this is part of the reason why. Because when you're encapsulating, when you buy something that's encapsulated, you have let's say retinol. You have 2% retinol in this encapsulated complex solution, or 5%, or 20%, whatever the case, depending on where you get it. And then you put that into your formula. And this is part of why you get brands that say, we have a 4.2% retinol complex or 18% retinol. It's not 18%. It's just not. It's 18% of the encapsulation.
Of the 2%. Yeah. So that, God, yes. This is the part we hate about encapsulation and that we really hope brands would be more mindful of is like touting that you were able to put more of that diluted raw is not helpful and really confusing for consumers. We see it all the time with retinol, so it is definitely something to pay attention to when you buy these encapsulated retinols. So that's encapsulation in a nutshell. Hopefully that helps you dissect and also explain what that means, its benefits, and also what to look out for while you're shopping.
Sorry, I'm in a nutshell. Drink. So that concludes the scrap meats of the day. It concludes
Chemist Therapy Hour of things on our mind.
The takeaway is this is why you need a chemist.
That's why you have us. All right. that's it. We're gonna move on.
It is time to
break it up.
break it up. Yay! All right, Animal Corner.
All right.
We love a good listener submission, whether it's Claims Corner or Animal Corner.
Yeah.
So today we have a cute little fish called the lumpsucker.
Oh.
The name
So
is not cute, but it is a lumpsucker.
Does it look like a lumpsucker?
What does a lumpsucker look like? Look it up. No, I know. I mean, when you say does it look like a lumpsucker, I'm like, what is this?
Like a...
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Wow, that was pretty good. Actually, it really does literally look like that. So,
all right, so it's accurate.
This was submitted by our friend Cheryl on Instagram. She sent us a little clip. It's super cute. It's a practically spherical fish.
I have to Google
with
it.
suckers on the bottom. So it is a lump and it does suck.
Oh my goodness! It's so cute.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Right.
It's pretty small. It's about yay big, and the fun fact is it's really colorful. So it comes in red, orange, brown. So it's like kind of like a weird Pokemon-esque fish.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
more useful than a Magikarp, right?
I mean, yeah, way more useful. They're found in shallow ocean waters, and you can find them you could, but unless you're diving deep, you can't see them. But they're found in Washington State, Alaska, parts of the Bering Sea, and northern Japan, if that tells you how cold they
Sounds
like
cold.
it. Yeah, it's cold. They're super cute. After they mate, they have a little like thing of eggs. They try to like find a secure cave or rock to hide their eggs under, and the males will just guard it until it hatches.
Aww.
Yeah, and we'll have the we'll show you a little clip here that you can check out of the dad just like kind of like guarding the eggs. It's super duper cute, and I really hate to drop this fact on y'all while I'm at it, but while you're watching this dad guard the egg, just know that the egg is like a delicacy.
Oh no!
It's like fancier salmon roll.
Oh wow!
Yeah. But I will say it's not a good aquarium fish at all. Because, you'll see it, its mannerism is super sweet. And there are stories about how it's actually really trusting. A lot of divers can just feed it and it will come eat. But because it likes really cold ocean water, if you've done any sort of like aquarium work or just fish work, that is 1-2 punch of making your life miserable. So it's not typically found in a pet-esque scenario, but I find the story super cute because in 2009, a Norwegian salmon farmer started using them in their salmon raising pond.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because apparently
they're tiny.
Yeah.
They're not that big, right?
Yeah, they're not that big.
Oh.
But they like eating sea lice, which is actually one of the parasites that kind of overdevelops in a salmon farm situation.
Nice.
And before I don't remember the name, before they tried using the lumpsucker, they were using this other fish that A is not as cute, and B apparently they're not very efficient, so you need a lot of them to just eat off a little sea lice. So now I think something like a majority of salmon farms out there use these guys to ward off parasites.
Awesome. So they're not endangered.
They are not.
Yay! For once, it's not a depressing animal fact.
Yay!
Yay, lumpsuckers. Good job.
And yes, it does look like a lumpsucker. So yeah, that's the Animal Corner. There's no lumpsucker beauty pageant, so can't talk about that. There really should be.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's it.
Yay, lumpsucker.
Thanks for the submission. If you know any weird animal facts, send them our way.
We find so much joy.
Yes.
Because this corner is about us, not you.
It's about all of us.
We're forcing you to listen to this and sharing this knowledge. Best review we've gotten recently about the Animal Corner is, I listened to the Animal Corner. I don't know if I wanted to know this, but I know now. You didn't know termites have mates and drama. You didn't know that camels have beauty pageants, but you're welcome. Yeah, all right. So we're going to wrap this up. It's time for some quick Q&A.
All right.
First question, she asks, I'm curious about acne-prone dry Ooh.
Dry in capital D-R-Y.
Yeah. I'm curious about acne-prone, dry, and sensitive skin. Does this just tend to be an issue with skin barrier and immune function, which then leads to the overgrowth of C. acne? Or is there still an issue with sebum production that just isn't obvious to the owner of said skin?
Oof, this one is this one's a little tough, especially I feel like when you're dry but still acne prone, it's just like, I don't know, it's like your genetics middle finger to you. It's like you have all the problems.
Totally agree. And yes, it's common. It is common that this scenario does happen, and the treatment aspect is so much harder because the treatments do add to the dryness. I would say that, generally irritation doesn't cause acne.
Yeah.
But it does make acne more severe. You are definitely inviting more inflamed acne lesions. So this is where Gloria and I would want to suggest, definitely, if you haven't found a soothing agent, a soothing sidekick yet, this would be a great way to implement that, just to try to keep skin calm and happy as you layer on treatments and the moisturizers.
But I was gonna say, like, I would definitely prioritize the dryness and skin barrier a little bit more in this case. We do see a lot of actually our friends Elsa Youngman, who does microbiome work, they do look at it in connection with acne. So it might be a great place to start checking out these microbiome products that kind of takes your skin barrier more holistically and tackle it from there. And I agree. I think acne actives, I talk about this a lot on the podcast, which is cell acid, for some reason, is like the bane of my existence. It will make me flake, and I'm very sensitive to it, even at low levels. And same for all these other acne actives. Step number 1 is drying your skin, like retinoids and whatnot. So it might not be a good first thing to reach for.
Well, definitely, probably my direction would be try not to use salicylic acid. You won't. And in terms of retinoids, adapalene is still considered the one that has less of a drying side effect. And it's all about how much adapalene you use. Many people think that with acne, you're supposed to slather those treatments on. I guarantee you, in the directions when they test this, it's always a very thin layer. That does matter in your application and your overall skin tolerance. So I would generally just try to start there. And then again, when I would say the treatments have gone too far, when you start seeing scaliness, redness, changes in texture, those are all signs that, okay, you need to dial it back. And if all else fails, please find us or team up with a derm so that they can just tailor it just right to help you out. But feel your pain. It's not easy. And the acne topicals don't really help the situation either. All right.
Next.
This is from our follower Pamela. She writes, "Ladies, I am addicted to your very informative and hilarious podcast.
Thank you.
You recommended 30% glycolic acid at 3.5 or lower pH. Help! What are some brands with such a product?"
I saw this. I just burst out laughing because I'm like, we really forget we do a shit job. There's a brand called Chemist Confessions, and they have a line of acids, each at the highest level that you might possibly want to use, and our gold standard has 30% glycolic. Yay!
Wow, we are so bad at this. I guess it's because when we first started as educators, we're always just about you and what you need. But talking about ourselves and what we do,
it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's not intuitive. But please check out our offering, especially for AHAs and now retinol. Hope that helps, Pamela.
Yeah, and also just as a FYI, 30% is okay for at-home use, but still not for everyone. It's not for the beginner, and
not for everyday use.
Definitely not for everyday use. Oh, please don't use it every day. But if you have any question, any safety know-hows, how to ramp yourself up to that youth level, let us know. That's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that wraps up our Scrap Meat podcast episode. Woo!
Yeah. So, as usual, you know where to find us.
Where?
You can find us on our website at chemistconfessions.com. Find us on Instagram, chemist.confessions, or just write to us.
At info@chemistconfessions. You already say that?
No, I didn't.
You may write to us at info@chemistconfessions.com, or just DM us, or just put your questions in this YouTube video.
Yeah.
We'll answer all of them.
What is in episode 4?
I was just going to ask you that, but you asked me
Yes! Beat Victoria the punch.
All right. Sun's starting to come out, so we are starting to get ready for all of the sun mindfulness products. So definitely we're going to have to start looking at the vitamin C's. There's going to be new launches. We hope to do some sunscreen tests, so that'll be really exciting. So look for that kind of content in the near future.
Yeah, totally. And we never lie about what's coming next.
No, never. We're so good.
All right, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.